it up, pump it up.
Trae,
Come on, come on.
with Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with
This is the
Trae.
day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peeps that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
It's Monday, and I definitely have to welcome you guys to another episode of The Day with Trae. Obviously, I am not Trae Holiday. I'm Besa Gordon, but I will be filling in for my good sis all week. To kick it off, I am talking with my buddy Jaebadiah Gardner. Let me tell you something. What I love about this man is he knows how to get to the bag. And believe it or not, it is in more ways than just real estate. We're gonna give you guys a couple ideas on how you can make some extra money today. And right now, we are gonna bring in Jaebadiah.
How you doing, Besa?
I'm good, how you doing?
I'm amazing.
As you should be. You got on the green. It's nice and sunny outside.
Yeah, of course.
So let's just jump right into it. You know, I've known of you for like buying blocks. You know, we recently had you on my other show and we did like a whole, not even like an expose, but like we really got into who Jaebadiah is. And one of the things that I really loved is that you make money in so many ways, all the way down to having a gumball machine right in front of your office. So let's start by running down some of the different ways that you are making money and literally funding your own life and probably even helping others with theirs.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, you know, I ain't about to like give away all the gems, but I am a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur and I do sell gumballs. This is true. Yeah, you know, like 3 or 4 years ago, I moved the office in Post Alley, moved out of my apartment, and the gum wall was like right there. And I'd walk out of my office and I'd say to myself, like, well, where are people getting this gum? Like, where? And so I decided to buy a gumball machine, and it does quite well. And it's really actually amazing because I'm able to actually use some of the proceeds from that and support some local folks who are going through some transitional housing because they know I'm there, right? And so they'll come to the alley and ask for a little something, and I'm able to like drop them something to keep them going. Hopefully it lasts, you know, longer than a day kind of thing. So at the end of the day, like I'm an opportunist, right? Like I see something and I go for it. And so that's just one of the little things that I got going for sure.
Now, I know that you call yourself an opportunist, but let's kind of talk a little bit about that mindset of finding different ways that are out of the box to make money. I think that a lot of people are in this position where they're just like, man, rent is expensive, gas is expensive, like an Uber that's about 2 miles is about $20 right about now. So a 9 to 5 is not enough anymore.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I don't look at it as, you know, as an opportunist, I don't look at it as, well, how can I make money? I look at it as how can I solve a problem? How can I solve an issue? And then secondary question is there a way to monetize it, right? Because if you're not really solving a problem, then you're probably going to struggle with monetizing. So in a small example of just selling gumballs, like the issue was there was no gum supplier or gum supply in an alley that demands gum. So for me, it wasn't rocket science. It wasn't like, oh my God, I didn't rack my brain over this. I was like, there's people who need gum. Okay, well, let me just go be the person who supplies the gum. And also it's really cool because I add to the fabric of the tourist attractions to Seattle. So it's another thing for people to do when they come to Seattle is they get to stop by the gumball machine, take selfies. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm hoping it makes the city a little bit more interactive. But at the end of the day, like, it's not about the money to me. It's about like, what issue can I solve? And then it's like, okay, how do we monetize it? Because you don't need to like go out and make $100,000 hustle. Like you don't need $800,000 hustles. If you had 10,000 hustles, that's 80 racks, right? And then you find out ways to be efficient. And then you make sure that your system of those 8 different hustles that make 80 grand, you make sure that it's an efficient hustle. So you spend less time making more money. And then all of a sudden you develop a process with yourself, you build a team, and then you're like, wow, I have a little bit of time on my hands, I have a little bit of cash flow. Let me go ahead and explore another opportunity where there's another issue that I can solve and it can potentially become a monetization model. And so like, I think it's something that's organic within our people already. Like we're already inventors and entrepreneurs and innovators, and it's just a matter of just actually doing it. Like take the risk and do it. You know, put up a few $100s on yourself. Gamble on yourself. You go to Vegas and blow a stack on a Friday. Blow that on yourself. Whatever idea you had, because at the end of the day, if it didn't work, you know it didn't work, and you can come back and make it work next time. You give your money to the dealer at Vegas, you ain't getting that back. You ain't learned nothing, like, other than you played a crappy hand. But anyways.
Well, that, or even just, you know, there's been times where I'm like, oh, this costs like $20, $30 or $40. And it's like, well, I don't drink anymore. But at one point, I would spend like $40 on a drink, and I had no issue with doing that. But when it actually comes to creating that extra wealth for yourself, and it's like, okay, I need to put this money down on my LLC, or I need to invest in, you know, hiring an assistant. A lot of people kind of like second guess those things.
Yeah, and that's rightly so, because it's a risk, right? And so at the end of the day, you gotta like have faith in your own hustle. You gotta have faith in your own hustle. I mean, it's cliche, but believe in yourself, wrote a book, you know what I mean? Like 4 years old now, at the same time, like I just don't lose track of that. And if you believe in yourself enough, other people will, right? And so I just feel like oftentimes, you know, we shortchange ourselves for short-term sacrifice or short-term like excitement, right? And it's just like whatever you're looking on online, scrolling through on your phones, like that's not really real life. Like you got to actually wake up and answer emails and address phone calls and get to work. Like that's what you should be focusing on, not trying to post some things because it's like, you know, it's like you felt great for the day. Like, nah, like keep that all to the side. Take that time that you would spend, unless you're making money off social media, totally different conversation. But like keep that time to yourself to develop your hustles, right? And don't limit yourself to one hustle. Real estate, obviously people know me as a real estate developer, and I marketed and branded myself as such. And that is, I am a real estate developer, but I'm also a businessman, and I have several businesses, right? I just don't talk about them. I don't need to. I don't need to tell everybody everything I got going on. But at the end of the day, that's where the power is. Power moves in silence. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of opportunity. We live in a resourceful, rich city. We're not taking full advantage of it. And so when you start to take advantage of it, all of a sudden you start exploring your hustles, you start building that faith in yourself, and at the end of the day, you're like, wow, 12 months went by and I've created a couple little businesses, and it's not like bringing me $1 million, but guess what? Do the same thing the next year, and then the next year. That's 3 years, 4 years. I'm 15 years in the game. This is 15 years of business for me. People don't realize that. I've been doing this for 15 years. So like, at the end of the day, it's compound interest.
And practice makes perfect. You know, like we were talking about earlier, you got to start somewhere. You know, like we always talk about how, you know, you buy blocks and how you're like buying up the blocks and, you know, you're helping other people buy the block, but that's not really where you start. Like you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, no, obviously. And like, I'm like a first generation real estate developer, first generation real estate investor, first generation, a lot of things. And like my first purchase was a 311 square foot studio in First Hill. That was my first piece of real estate that I ever bought, was 311 square feet. And like I bought that for myself. And I mean, that's all I could afford at the time of 2006 or so. And, but to your point, like just getting started, just taking that risk, putting that down payment down, like just getting started. And then you start to learn, you know, how to take care of what you purchase, right? I don't even look at it as buying or purchasing. I like to use the word invest, because everything that I do, if money is going out, I'm looking at it as an investment, unless I'm going to Vegas. But even then, like I'm bringing people who I really love and cherish. So I'm investing in them, investing in myself, and investing in the environment. So I actually like to change my lexicon a little bit. And so it's not me purchasing or buying the block. I'm investing in the block, right? And so when you start to change your frame of mind and start using the word invest and replace that with purchase or buy, then all of a sudden you start treating that investment differently. You start to take care of it a little differently, right? Because you want to make sure that that investment returns something. And so it's my goal to make sure that everything that we invest in as a company comes back in more ways than one, right? And so, you know, that's how I feel about that.
All right, so Jaebadiah, since we've been talking about investing, and I like the idea of taking the word of starting a business to really investing in yourself, because that's what you're doing. Like you're investing in a block, you're investing in a community, but you're also investing in your future. So how can people invest in their future?
That's an interesting question, Besa. I think investing in oneself happens in a number of ways, and there's no right way to do it. I don't have the game plan or the roadmap. Like, there's no rules to this game, which is absolutely amazing. So I don't know, a couple tips that I would throw out there. Number one, we don't talk about financial literacy enough. We don't talk about financial competency enough or financial responsibility enough. And really what it boils down to is you gotta have your money right. And you don't need to have a lot of money to have your money right. And by that, I mean, like, tip number one, like, I've lived off of $20,000 a year, but like, it's how you budget that $20,000 a year. And my dad had this amazing phrase, it's called budget balling. Budget balling. Like, know what you can spend and know what you can keep, you know what I mean? And you don't have to overextend yourself. And whatever that you're able to keep aside for yourself, that's what you use to invest in yourself. AKA, like, whatever responsibilities and obligations you have, just pay those. You don't have to pay them in full all the time because it's hurtful. This country is hard. Bills are hard. Everything's expensive. But just make something, put something down on whatever your obligations are to keep the train going. Because at the end of the day, I wouldn't be able to close on a $6 million loan on a piece of real estate when they go and look at my FICO and credit score, and that shit ain't right. Like, I have to have that right. And that all starts with just like paying the small bills on time. Like, make sure your phone bills are paid. You know what I mean? Like, that's a very easy way to start. Secondly, like, don't be afraid to take a risk on yourself. Like, that's the best bet you can ever place. If you're ever gonna bet on yourself. And by that, I mean, like, dream as far as you can dream and then put your own resources behind it, because no one's gonna put resources from their pocket into your pocket until they see you doing the talk, right? Unless they see you actually investing in yourself. And that'll prompt other people to do it. And then secondly, I have a real estate fund, small fund. It's a $10 million fund. Kicked it off a couple years ago, and I'm learning a lot of how that structure works. And one of the things I've learned is, like, relationships are so key. Make sure, like, you're aligning yourself with folks. Like, you got to choose your audience, you know what I mean? And when it comes to my space of real estate and business, I'm making sure I'm flying with the eagles. I'm making sure I'm there with people, not just with money and resources, but people with high intellect, people who I can learn from. And surround yourself by people who are you don't want to be the biggest fish in the water when you show up to an event. You don't want to be the smartest person. You don't want to be the know-it-all. You want to walk in a room and feel like you don't exist. You are nothing. And when you're in that space, you have an ability and opportunity to learn. And so you kind of package those things together, and then all of a sudden, things will get moving. And the last thing I'll say is, like, if you have an idea and you're talking about it with your friends, like, at some point you're gonna have to do it. So make sure that whatever you're telling yourself when you wake up in the morning, find ways to practice it, find ways to engage it. And then surround yourself by people who are gonna call you out. Surround yourself by people who are gonna tell you that, like, no, you're not doing what you said you're gonna do. Because self-accountability and then accountability by people who love you, that's gonna really, really help. And it hurts, but that constructive criticism is gonna take you to the moon and farther. So I just wanna make sure that people know that, like, this is not easy. The journey is not easy. I may make it look easy, but at the end of the day, like, I gotta believe in myself and put that faith in my hustle, right? And so I'm telling you all, put the faith in your hustle and nothing's gonna be able to get in your way.
I love that. And real quick, let everybody know where they can grab your book.
Oh yeah, believe in yourself. I'm actually working on book 2.
That's right.
Working on book 2. That one's gonna be a zinger, by the way. Book 1, I was very nice. Book 2, I'm not so nice. Anyways, believe in yourself. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any online retailer. Believe in yourself, business essentials for the millennial entrepreneur. It's 4 years old now, which is kind of wild to think about. So I think it's about time where I let some time go by where a lot of work has been, churned out to where book 2 is gonna I think be a little bit more hardy for folks. A lot of the questions you're asking me, I'm gonna go in crazy detail about, like, how did I start a fund? How did I get my first investor? How did I lock down a block on 23rd and Union? How did I buy 3 acres in Skyway? People don't really know the details, right? So always a story behind something.
You know, and that is where the real gems are. And that's where people honestly usually feel seen. Because it's like, okay, your story really resonates with me.
For $19.99, it's going to resonate all the way.
That's right. Well, shoot, Jaebadiah, I want to thank you so much for stopping by today and chatting with us and giving us some different tips on how we can invest in ourselves and our community. Until next time, look, you guys, we still have more coming up today. Coming up next, we have Heru coming, and we're learning about something that I'm actually curious about. It's called Acugraphs. You already know. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle is bringing a whole lot of star power to town as Taraji P. Henson and Hill Harper headline their 23rd annual breakfast happening November 22nd at the Seattle Convention Center Summit. Grab your tickets now at urbanleague.org.
Washington's charter public schools prioritize equitable learning opportunities for all students and strive for openness at every level. Teachers work with parents to build a trusting and supportive learning environment for students. To learn more, visit wacharters.org.
A world of wonder awaits at Pacific Northwest Ballet's The Nutcracker. Treat your loved ones to the Northwest's favorite holiday tradition at Seattle Center's McCall Hall. Visit pnb.org.
Disney and Cameron Mackintosh's Mary Poppins comes to life on stage at the Fifth Avenue Theatre, featuring Step in Time and Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Make it a jolly holiday at Mary Poppins. For tickets, visit fifthavenue.org.
Hello, welcome to Elite Insights with Carlos Humani. We're looking to offer an in-depth look at event production industry through the lens of client experiences and joint successes. The podcast will emphasize guest interviews, focusing on client discussing their fields and reflecting on their collaboration with Elite Collective. Again, you're with Elite Insights. Carlos Humani here. See you guys in a few.
Welcome back to The Day with Trae. Of course, I am your buddy Besa Gordon, filling in for my good sis Trae Holiday. Right now, it is time for Mindfulness Mondays, and right now we have Heru Heals with us. Dude, we are going to talk about Acugraphs, which I actually think is very, very interesting, especially since it's something that's not really being talked about within our Black community. And it is something that can also kind of tap in and kind of shift the thoughts of only using Western medicine. And as you guys know, your girl's been having some issues with her skin, so I can definitely use some different ways to get healed. How are you, Heru?
I'm loving life. How are you? It's so good to see you.
You good to see you too, man. Look, Acugraphs. When I looked it up, and I was just telling you right now, what I found most interesting about it is that it's something that people that look like us are not really talking about, but it's very effective. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Definitely. People that look like us typically don't jump into acugraph or acupuncture in general because of the needles. We don't like needles. We don't like the woo-hoo of traditional Chinese medicine. But what Acugraph does, it brings in the understanding of 5,000 years of traditional Chinese medicine, but it ties it into, some technology. So it gives us a way to measure, see some observable, impactful understanding on how to deal with basic issues, right? We want to deal with pain, right? We want to deal with ailments. We have diabetes, we have obesity, any addictions and things like that. We can start to treat with acupuncture type treatment plans, but we want to stay away from the idea of needles, right? So what we do is we take an Acugraph and walk through an analysis. It takes about 3 minutes, if that. That really all we need access to is your wrists and your feet, right? So get your feet done if you want to show up to my clinic. But we check your wrists and your feet. We measure the meridian flow, the energy flow through the meridians of your body. There's 12 meridians inside of your body. These are electro pathways. Chi pathways is what we normally talk about that flow through your body that really relate to your health. Right? We can track it to your internal organ system. So we look at your 5 basic internal organs, your kidneys, your liver, your lungs, your heart, your stomach, spleen combination. From there, we can track it out to what symptoms you have, right? We can see that people have pain in their lower back, right? We go, oh, you got pain in your lower back and upper legs. That relates to your kidney, right? You might have also some emotional support needs. We see depression, we see anxiety, we see worry, sleeplessness, insomnia, and things like that. We can treat all of that. And we can pinpoint it with definite accuracy with the Acugraph. From there, we get to take a look and create a treatment program, right, related to health. We can look at your herbal support. We can look at, acupuncture support. We can look at qigong therapy, massage therapy. We can do some acupressure. We can do some anointing actually with different types of essential oils too on these points. So if you don't like needles, you got some different ways to work with that and see some observable results. Then we can track that through, an entire treatment program so you can see it. You get a detailed report. It's about 6-7 pages long that gives you a proprietary score as well so you can see how your health is progressing along that cycle.
Wow. So, okay, outside of the needles, like I know that needles kind of freak people out a little bit, but from what I've heard, it's not a very painful thing.
No.
So, okay, for someone that might be, I don't know, having some liver issues and they may not know about it, what would be something that you would tell them to make it to where it's like, yo, you need to try this? The Western medicine is one thing, but for me with my skin is going through this because I stopped taking the steroids.
Mm-hmm.
And so finding the more natural ways is very, very important because it's like, had I not been doing the steroids, I wouldn't be looking like this right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I also didn't know about this.
Right.
So what is something that you would tell someone where it's like, that sounds cool, but it's the needles for me?
I would tell people that you don't have to use needles, right? I typically don't use needles in my practice. I can refer people to acupuncturists, but I don't use needles. I use laser treatment, right? So I have some non-invasive lasers that can either turn up or turn down, attenuate or tonify those points along your body with relative ease, and I can do it anywhere, right? I also use auricular therapy. So I use a program where I can put seeds on your ears, because your ears also relate to these pressure points and acupuncture points. They actually look like jewelry. So you're walking around with some, cubic zirconia, I'm not giving out real diamonds, or some gold and things like that on your ears that you can rub throughout the day several times that actually can increase, the chi flow through these meridians as well. Wow. So you can stay away from needles. We don't have to touch needles at all throughout this practice. If you are, a proponent for needles, you understand that most people that have professional insurance, right? Health insurance, they can get access to, acupuncture, but you don't need to use needles at all for these treatments. And I can give you a home remedy as well that you can do at home simply by pressing these points for 30 seconds at a time on each side of your body to remedy some of these systems as well.
Is there just one thing that you can give the people right now that they might even be able to try on themselves at this moment?
There's a couple of places. There's a point I like to call point 0. It's right here inside the inner ear, if y'all can see me on here, but you can just pinch that ear. Typically, another thing that I like to prescribe as well for people that get headaches all the time. Just if you grab the meaty tissue between the index finger and the thumb, you can typically feel some tension on one side or the other. If you hold that for a while, if you feel around, you might feel a little knot there. If you hold some pressure there for about 30 seconds, you start to see or feel the pain decrease in your body. So there's some points that you can reach pretty easily.
Wow. I think finding different ways to heal ourselves outside of Western medicine is something that I've always been curious about. But like I said, with going through what I'm going through, I'm like, there's for sure another way, and I need to find these other ways. But more so, it's saving people from going through what I'm dealing with, right, and potentially what they can go through by using these Western medicines just because they're not, I think it's unfortunate, but a lot of times our people, we feel that it's not normal for them. It's completely different. They don't want to look into it. So they just do the Tylenol thing because that's what they're used to. And it's like, you could have just taken a deep breath. You could have stretched out. You could have done some yoga, maybe
for sure,
gone for a run.
For sure.
And that definitely could have changed the whole trajectory for you.
Yeah. Yeah. If you understand traditional Chinese medicine, it's been around for 5,000 years. Mm. So the body of evidence that shows that it works is there. Traditional medicine or modern medicine has only been around for a couple hundred years. So and most of our medical practitioners, they're practicing, right? So they're just learning some of this. A lot of the doctors that you deal with aren't nutritionalists. They don't know anything about your diet, so they don't understand how food is going to affect you. So we have to understand that balance. We bring old world and new world, abilities to analyze together, and we can find a comprehensive treatment program that's, not cost prohibitive as well. Like you can come see me about an Acugraph. It takes 3 minutes of your day. I'll be out in parks and things like that sometimes giving them for free. And you get a comprehensive report to go back to your medical doctor and say, look, I have these problems. What do you think about it as well? And we bring those reports together and come up with a treatment program that supports you. There's no reason not to, for sure.
At least give it a try. You're willing to try extra strength Tylenol. Why not try something that's natural?
It doesn't, everything else we understand, and there's side effects. There's no side effects to this as well.
This is very true, and I think that that's something that people have to think about when they're like, "Oh, that's weird, that's different," and it's like, yeah, but you don't mind putting a pill in your body, and you don't know what's in that pill.
For sure.
But yet you won't stretch.
Right. Breathe.
You know, take a moment to like woosah a little bit.
Right.
One thing that me and Trae always talk about is how you do so many free classes, and she's like, "Yo, you should come out and try this. You should come out and try that." How can people get with you and try to get onto that healthier journey of getting away from some of these Western practices?
Sure. Well, in a couple of weeks, I'll be at Juneteenth. So if you come up to Jimi Hendrix Park for Juneteenth, I'll be out there for free. Our donation-based, whatever you want to do, will come through and we'll do those Acugraph reports for you. Every Saturday at 9 a.m., I'm sharing that Qigong practice, for free online or in person. You can come there. It's a hybrid class, so people are able to gather some Qi and deal with balancing the energies inside of the inner organ systems. Just reach out to me on social media as well. I'm always available for a 15-minute consultation. I'll do that for free as well. I try to keep the cost down for our people. So as much as we can, we'll flex those fees and things like that. But yeah, I'm always available to have a conversation.
I love it. Well, shoot. I'm so happy that I was able to talk to you about this. And I've been talking to Trae about these things with like the holistic ways of finding different ways to heal myself. And I'm like, girl, I need some help. So it's great that I was able to talk with you. And I'm definitely gonna have to stop by on Juneteenth and see what we can kind of do. In the meantime, between time, you guys, look, we're gonna go to a quick commercial break. Heru, I wanna thank you so much for chatting with me today. And once we come back, we're gonna wrap up today's show, you guys.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Trae Holiday. We're teaming up with Public Health Seattle and King County to remind you that back to school time means making sure your kids are up to date on their vaccinations. Public Health Seattle and King County is offering free back to school vaccine clinics for kids ages 0 to 18 all fall. You heard that right, free. No matter what your insurance situation is, they got you covered. Getting your kids vaccinated is the best way to protect them from serious diseases like measles, mumps, and whooping cough, and it's required for them to attend school or childcare. So call your health clinic pediatrician or doctor today to make sure your kids have all their required vaccinations. You can also visit kingcounty.gov/find a clinic to find a clinic near you. Let's work together to keep our kids healthy and in school. Peace.
Africa Town Plaza is our latest affordable housing development project. It's 126 units of affordable housing over community commercial space.
It's the first time in my career, and I've been doing this for 10 years, that I was able to design for people who look like me.
Africa Town Plaza is a beacon of hope.
Africa Town Plaza is a love letter to the community.
All right, you guys, this was a good Monday, and hopefully you guys learned something today, whether it's how to invest into yourself monetarily or health-wise. Dude, we had a lot of good talk today. Now, tomorrow, I'll be back again. I will be joined by Matt Farmer of Defy. You guys know I'm always talking about Defy Wrestling. Well, today we are talking about the CEO and creator, okay? And then also, I will be joined by my good sis, Jazz, okay? She is the owner of Black Sunflower. But guess what? She's doing more than just making candles these days. So we're also going to talk about how to get to that bag, all right? In the meantime, between time, I hope that you guys have an amazing day, and definitely tap back in with us tomorrow at 11 a.m. on The Day with Trae.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.